Hello and welcome to Beyond Their Years. This is the podcast where two young hosts aim to bring retro music and movies to a new generation. I'm Aidan Gula, but I can't do this alone. Joining me is my co-host and brother, Stanley Gula.
Today we're going to carry on from last episode with First Bands Part 2.
Because it wasn't supposed to be First Bands Part 1, was it? It was just supposed to be First Bands. I didn't realise we'd get to the end of it, talk about Michael Jackson, Queen and Pet Shop Boys, and then even go, not even talked about The Who, Black Sabbath, Korn, any of that lot.
No.
So that's why we've had to take on the moniker of... Do you like that moniker? Isn't that a name? Couldn't it be called moniker?
I think so.
Is that even the right word? The moniker of early years, latter years. I'm doubting myself now. There's somebody listening to this called Monica going, why are you talking about me? I don't know what I'm talking about. It's been a long time since we did the last one. About 4 weeks.
It's nearly a month.
Yeah. Because we should have released last week. June the 5th was the last Friday, wasn't it? That's when we should have released. But obviously, it didn't really feel very right to be going, hey guys, look at my podcast at these trying times. So we thought we'd take a week off.
Yeah.
Episode 3, First Bands Part 1, has been our best received episode yet. I think it's our best quality overall anyway, but it's our best received. It's got the most listens, most interactions, getting messages from people on the Ghost account and saying, you just made me really want to listen to Pet Shop Boys now.
You're welcome, Pet Shop Boys.
Yeah. So if you want to sponsor us,
yeah, take us on tour. We'll be opening act.
Just come out and just like going, Pet Shop Boys, what are they doing? We don't have any music. Well, at the end of the last episode, we got to the end of some Queen trivia, some Pet Shop Boys trivia, some Michael Jackson trivia. We gave some recommendations. We said, here's where to go with everything. And then we just said, well, we've still got more musical journey to talk about. And we just hadn't got onto it. So I guess today we can just start from... Right, we've left Queen now. Shall we start with Led Zeppelin? Because I believe that was the first one. Led Zeppelin and AC/DC came next, didn't they? So we can start there.
Boom, boom. Boom, boom. That's Led Zeppelin.
Which one is it? Is that Good Times, Bad Times?
Boom, boom.
Is that how the album starts or something? Is that?
Boom, boom. Yeah. Good times, bad times, you know I've had my share.
That's one of those ones where you don't know the rest of the words. Well, I don't anyway, so I just sort of go, prancing around your room like Robert Plant, twirling your fake long hair.
Yeah. Boom, boom. I like that one actually, it's quite a good one.
I didn't like your interpretation of it. It was quite irritating.
Yeah, well, that's
it's like R2-D2 malfunctioning. Right, so we had some debate about this last episode because we were talking about what's the first Led Zeppelin song that you remember. I said Black Dog is the earliest one I remember, but you said Stairway to Heaven.
Actually, no, I'd say Immigrant Song, then Stairway to Heaven.
Yeah, I'd agree with that because I feel like, we might have started with Stairway to Heaven. I'm not denying that. But I feel like it wouldn't have had the impact on me first. You know what I mean? An 8-minute extraordinaire. I feel like I'd be more into, come on, give me something catchy. Makes me very breathy. Tea does. It's probably not the best drink to have.
No.
But it's quite soothing, isn't it, having a cup of tea?
Yeah.
Like, why is he drinking tea on a podcast? What a stupid thing to do. Should be on energy drinks. Doing lines of Coke and...
No, I think tea's alright. It's no different to coffee, really. Apart from there's more caffeine in coffee. And...
Yeah, there's not going to be anything in here, is it? It's just mint tea.
That's true.
It's just mint leaves in hot water. That's all it is.
See, I couldn't drink that. It's so minty.
So you'd like mint when it's not mint, then? When it's in a toothpaste?
I like it in a toothpaste. I like it in gum. I like it in ice cream. Pure mint on its own is not very nice.
Well, when have you had pure mint on its own?
Well, never, but you know what I mean?
Well, then.
You get like drinks like that.
I just imagine you out in a forest now, licking mint leaves, going, oh, bit too minty.
Well, you don't know what I'll get up to, do you? Like George Michael lurking in the bushes.
Well, slightly different.
Yeah, but that's what they think I am at the start.
Oh, there's another one. Oh, no, I'm just licking mint leaves. Of course you are, lad. Come on. Are you going to sneeze?
That is coronavirus on a podcast.
Gonna have to disinfect these mics now.
Whatever.
See, I keep forgetting coronavirus is even a thing at the moment because everything's taken over in the news, hasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Madeleine McCann's now more important than coronavirus.
She's dead, isn't she? we knew she was dead.
Yeah, I mean, haven't the German authorities said now she's dead? And the parents have gone, wow, how do you know that? And the German police have gone, look, she's dead. It's been 13 years.
Oh, why are the German police getting involved? It's in
I don't
Portugal,
know.
wasn't it? An English girl.
Yeah, but it's a German guy, so they're investigating him, aren't they?
Oh.
I saw a TikTok the other day, though, and it was like this girl, you know, they do these sort of... You know that music that's on TikTok? I don't know what any of the words are.
Yeah.
It's one of my least favourite sounds.
Coffee for your head. Don't stay.
I'm always like, don't go to bed. There's gonna be a gunshot in your head, and all that sort of stuff. I'm like, they're not the lyrics.
Another one.
It's one of my least favourite sounds on TikTok. But I saw one of those videos the other day, and it was like a girl like going. I remember when I was in Portugal back in about 2000 or whatever it was, and there was this really creepy German guy. Look, here's a photo of me with him. Then everybody like in the comments was going, "Yo, if this is real, you need to tell the police."
Yeah.
This girl's just sort of all just like, what a funny, quirky German guy.
Yeah.
And he's like, that's probably the guy who murdered her.
Don't stay away.
It was the most jarring thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I commented like, yo, if this is real, you need to tell the police now. Not just putting it on TikTok. Like, oh, isn't this funny?
Yeah.
What are you doing, love?
It's like filming a murder happening, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, look, murder going on. And
It's like being at like assassination of JFK and then going, well, I saw some guy up on a cliff with a sniper. I thought it was ever so weird because that's who killed him.
Yeah, and it turns out it was the what's the guy's name who killed him?
Well, nobody knows
When
because they arrested somebody, but it's a bit dubious whether it was actually him who killed him. Are we now on a conspiracy podcast, or is that what this is
I
turned
was going to
into?
Google the guy's name because I forgot what it was.
Do you remember we watched that documentary about it once? They reenacted it with like a watermelon on a mannequin's body, and they shot their head and was like,
Yes.
well, it couldn't have been this guy because from this angle it wouldn't have been the right trajectory. Then it showed like the actual footage of him being shot. I was like, oh, I don't want to really see this on a Saturday night. I'm trying to just eat my tea.
Lee Harvey Oswald.
That's the name.
It's like taking a picture of Lee Harvey Oswald when JFK was shot, like going, "Hey, just met Lee Harvey Oswald. What a brilliant guy.
Yeah. What a quirky guy."
Yeah.
Dee, 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 dee,
He was
dee.
actually telling me about how he's going to kill JFK, and I thought, yeah, good joke, mate, good joke. Turns out it wasn't a joke, was it?
I don't know. I'm not really sure how we got onto that topic,
No.
but yeah. TikTok has become very strange at the moment. I don't know if it's the same for you, but I keep getting that SM6 band come up all the time. Do you know what I mean? Wait for it, and they'll just take... My whole feed is now just that family. It's like a family who are like a pop punk band. The most irritating people on earth. I don't know if you've seen the video, and it's like... Try not to jump challenge.
Oh, yes.
And they're all in front of the car, and it's like... And they're all like going off.
Andre reacted to that one.
Did he?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's them SM6 band, and I just keep getting video after video of them.
I don't want to.
I might just have to block them, like there's people who do that stupid chin thing.
Oh.
I could speed up all the videos. And it's all like, all these mouths going, oh, they're irritating as well. My TikTok used to be full of like really surreal things.
I saw one.
Like I've got a girl pretending to be He-Man saved in one of my favourites. That was the kind of surreal stuff I like, not these.
I like the Karen one, and it's it's the cam guy, and she's like, "Oh, Sarah, put some." It's a guy, but being a cam, he's like, "Oh, Sarah, put some musics on that I would know. I don't know any of these music." And he puts on "Careless Whisper" by George Michael, and she's like, "Oh my god!" It's really funny. It's really funny.
I've seen a few. There's another guy. Have you seen the one where it's like how to train to be a Karen? There's like a guy who's like a perfect how to speak a manager, and he's like looking in the mirror, and he's got like a wig on and stuff, and he's got like a cardigan on and stuff. He's looking in the mirror going, I want to speak to your manager. I want to speak. And he's like getting all ready, and it's like the Rocky theme tune playing.
My TikTok's very camp, actually. He's always I remember there's one of this guy, and he's showing you these jeans he wants, but it's like on his phone, and his screensaver was Madeleine McCann. Then he went into his camera roll, and it's like loads of pictures of Madeleine McCann.
I think I've seen that one as well, because if it's the same one, I think it is. I commented on that, saying this would have been better if you did it in a German accent. Then he replied to my comment saying I did this before the news.
Then he goes onto the web and goes, "How to kill a kid."
Yeah, it's definitely the same one. Yeah,
But I don't know. Speaking about TikTok about.
I know this is now. It's supposed to
20
be
minutes.
First Bands Part 2, and it's now TikTok and conspiracies, isn't it?
Well, maybe we're doing the wrong thing.
Anyway, as for Led Zeppelin, AC/DC, Black Sabbath, whatever. Are you falling asleep there? What's happening? I'm not sure what I just watched there. Look at how it looked like you're having some sort of fit. Right, I know. And there's one question we were alluded to in the last one. And I thought, right, I need to establish this. How did you get into Korn? That's Korn the band and not the food.
No. We've skipped quite a lot here, haven't we?
I know, but we'll just jump around because we're already distracted and talking about conspiracy theories. We're a bit out of practice. We've not done this for a while.
Because our mum was listening to him quite a lot. I thought, oh, these look quite cool. And I was quite angry as a kid. So I thought, yeah, good anger release.
Because the earliest thing I remember is being at our nan's house when I had my first phone. Do you remember that really crappy Sydney thing that I had that kept getting water damage every 3 minutes? So we had to put it in bowls of rice every day, pretty much.
Yeah.
It was that phone.
Just keeping the weird sock thing.
Yeah, like instead not a phone case, I had it in a weird sock. Oh, that was weird, that was. It makes me feel uncomfortable now. But yeah, that phone. I remember just texting on that phone at Nan's house. This is probably 2012, 2013. Thereabouts, because I got my first phone at secondary school, so that was 2012. So I remember just texting our dad and saying, Stanley's got into Korn. And then he replied back saying, devil music! That's the earliest thing I remember of Korn. But I'm like, how did you get there?
You backstabbed me, did you?
Because before that, well, no, I was with you. I was with you when I sent that text. Obviously, you just erased it from your mind, but then it has been 7 or 8 years. But it's just like, how did we get to that point? Because before that, we were still... All we hear is... I mean, I know we had got delved into AC/DC, etc., but...
Because I was into a certain band. I can't say their name for many reasons. And they were kind of metal, emo. That was kind of the first...
Oh, Lost Prophets.
Yeah.
Well, we can say it, or we just
don't
have to say, probably best you don't listen to them now.
No.
Because we're probably not going to talk about it. Because we tried to keep this podcast fairly clean, but that singer did some very questionable, imprisoned things.
I think it was some of the worst crimes
you could think of.
I think it was one of Britain's most notorious paedophiles, I do believe.
Yeah.
But
anyway,
but they were a really good band anyway. But they were like my first kind of
foray into emo.
And they were kind of my first favourite band, if you know what I mean. They were kind of attitude. Well, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was kind of like, I'm an emo. Well, I'm not.
Sod you all.
It was kind of very angry. I like that. And obviously he got arrested 2012.
So then you thought, right, I need some new angst now.
And I remember my mum listening to Korn. I remember seeing the video for Faggot.
Oh. Beep. Didn't expect that word.
F1 explicit thing on that, weren't you? But that video, I was like, God, this is cool. And also Blind, that video, I remember seeing that. So the Faggot music video first. I need to stop.
You have to put an explicit warning on this. When I upload them, there is a box that says clean or explicit, and I always click clean. I'm going to have to click explicit on this one.
I'm sorry, but I remember seeing I'm going to say it again. I remember seeing the Faggot. I remember seeing the Faggot.
Shall we just think of a code word for it now? Call it the maggot video or something.
The Faggot video. I'm just going to keep calling it the Faggot video. It's a song name. I don't want to offend anyone. That's actually what it sounds cool. But yeah, I remember seeing...
You saw the video anyway.
I saw the video and I was like, yeah, that's pretty cool. I thought, who is this man with all these dreads going around? I thought, God, that's cool. Then because the iPhone 3, that was a mum's, didn't I?
That shows you how long we're talking back now, doesn't it?
And it had like songs on it, and she somehow got music videos on. And it was Got the Life, Falling Away From Me, some other ones, and Blind. I remember watching Blind and I thought, God, that's cool.
Here are my emo replacers.
Mm-hmm.
Even though
I wouldn't say
I'm
they're
not even emo. No, but I mean the angst thing.
The angst, kind of angry music, yeah.
See, it's weird because I think, what was I listening to at the same time? Because what tends to happen 9 out of 10 times is you get into a band, I go, rah, it's awful. 2 months later, I'm like, rah, and I'm dead into them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that happened with what? Korn, Megadeth, Metallica, Rob Zombie. Not Rob Zombie, actually. Technically, I listened to Rob Zombie first, and then I thought, I can't be arsed with this. Then you got into it, then I got into it afterwards. But it's happened a lot. People, that's awful. I quite like it now.
It's happened to pretty much every band we've ever got into, really, hasn't it? Black Sabbath.
You're obviously more willing to experiment with new sound, whereas I'm very happy in the status quo. Not with status quo, although status quo are very good.
They used to be.
Status quo have a few good albums.
We're not talking about status quo now, either. Then I got into Korn, and then it was like, Korn v Slipknot thing. So I got into Slipknot.
Did you get into Slipknot first, or did I did? Or
No,
did
I
You definitely did first. Because I know I really liked them. Because we said this I think we said this in the last one. If we didn't, then I must have cut it out, or just imagined I said it. But a lot of that music has actually come from Guitar Hero games.
Yeah.
Like, you'd hear a song, and go, that's good, and then go and research it. Like Lost Prophets were on the child-friendly Lego Rock Band, which is a bit ironic now, really. But so that's where it was like, oh, Rooftops, that's a good song. Let's go and listen to the rest of their back catalogue. And Slipknot, I remember, before I forget, was on Guitar Hero 3, which is the best Guitar Hero game, by the way. But so yeah, maybe you got into them first. You'll say you did. So let's say you got into them first. I got into them, and then I remember I went off them for a couple of years. I was like, oh, they're too heavy. Too shouty all the time.
You're really into them now, aren't you?
And then it hit about 2014 when the Grey Chapter came out. And then somehow they won me back. And then I was dead into them for about 2 years straight. And then
Korn, Slipknot, and the...
Well, we're just jumping around, really.
Yeah.
Because I can't think of a fixed timeline for this.
No.
I can sort of think of the development of Queen, Michael Jackson, and Pet Shop Boys, but I can't really think. Well, Judas Priest came then, and then Black Sabbath thing. I just know that Led Zeppelin came first, then AC/DC, then Black Sabbath, and then just sort of anything after that.
Judas Priest and Megadeth was all after our grandparents died. That's certain.
Yeah, that was much later, because we used to do that with a few bands. We were like, right, you get into one, I'll get into the other, and we'll cross over what we've learnt. I got into Judas Priest, you got into Megadeth. I was like, well, Megadeth are quite good. You went, nah, don't give me Judas Priest.
No.
Because we expected Judas Priest to be like dead heavy. Which is why we paired them up with Megadeth. And then we turned into this camp. Living after midnight. We're like, not quite what I expected there, and I liked it, and you didn't.
No, I didn't even like Megadeth that much either.
I don't anymore. I used to when we got into them. But now I listen to them. I can listen to like Holy Wars and Peace Sells. They're two songs I can handle fine. But then the rest is just generic ding 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 while him uses sort of over the top of it.
Too cheesy.
Yeah. It's like another band we've never been able to get into is Kiss. I probably like about 6 Kiss songs in total. They're just too cheesy. They're just too cheesy.
What's one I like?
I Was Made for Loving You.
I like the cheesy one.
Oh, you like the one I can't stand. Crazy Crazy Nights.
Yes.
I can't stand that song.
I love that one, man.
That's one you like. I Was Made for Loving You, Love Gun, Detroit Rock City.
That's cheesy.
Ish, but not as cheesy as Crazy, 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 Crazy Nights. Detroit Rock City is... Detroit Rock City. That's that one.
You're saying that's not cheesy?
It's not as cheesy. It's got a better riff. I mean, you've got to like Rock and Roll All Night. That's just like you have to.
What's that one?
It's in the 10 Commandments of being a metalhead, isn't it? That's I wanna rock and roll all night and party every day. That's that one. So that's 4. Have I said Love Gun, God of Thunder, Detroit Rock City, Rock and Roll All Night, I Was Made for Loving You. That's 5. I can't think of another one. Heaven's on Fire. That's it. That's 6. That's not the cheesy one. Feel my heat taking you. That's just cheesy. God of Thunder's their best one. It's the heaviest one. It's sung by Gene Simmons. White Zombie did a cover of it. That's their best one.
No, they're not very good though, are they, Kiss? Come on.
I'm not a fan of cheesy metal. I'm really not. Motley Crue, Steel Panther. Ugh!
Van Halen, Jump.
That one. Yeah.
Hey! I like that one. We haven't gone off extremely
Well, we're sort of roughly on topic, talking about cheesy metal that we don't like.
Mm.
So what do you want to say about our first bands delving into metal? Because I know last week we talked about... Tell you what, let's go talk about Led Zeppelin. We're obviously struggling to talk about Led Zeppelin if we've gone off on TikTok and conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
So maybe... We talked about AC/DC a lot in the first episode. Do you want to repeat some of that? Or do you want to go into Black Sabbath? Or do you want to sneeze?
Go into Black Sabbath.
Go into Black Sabbath. Because I think with Black Sabbath, I mean, I did say this in the last one, but it's a good thing to repeat. Somehow, you got into Black Sabbath first.
Yeah.
I've genuinely no idea how you did that.
Nor do I.
But somehow you were already into Black Sabbath. Well, not into Black Sabbath, but you were discovering Black Sabbath. So you already knew these songs, and I was like, Ozzy who? Do you know what I mean? Well, I knew who Ozzy Osbourne was, but I'm just joking. It's a comedy. But
Ha ha. I don't know. I don't even know how I got into it.
no, I genuinely have no idea. But I do remember Black Sabbath Greatest Hits was on sale in Asda. We got it. We went back to our house. We put it on. We skipped to the song Black Sabbath by Black Sabbath from the album Black Sabbath, released in the year Black Sabbath, track number Black Sabbath. And we just played that song, Thunder and the Lightning. Bow, bow. I thought, that's it. All right, I'm into metal now. And then from there, then we went on to Paranoid and all your Iron Man and Evil Woman and The Wizard and all your greatest hits. We were saying the first album that we bought last episode. See, the first album I remember we bought was Greatest Hits 2 by Queen. But I remember the first album that I bought with like my own pocket money out on my own in town in HMV. Not sure why I went so northern then. In HMV with my own pocket money was Sabbath Bloody Sabbath. Down, 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 down.
I don't know what my first CD was.
No.
Maybe Tiny Temper, I don't know. But I didn't
But
technically buy that.
you didn't buy that though,
Well, I
did
asked
you? No.
for it. So.
Well, I mean,
count?
going out and you picking it
I
up
don't know.
and going to the checkout man and buying it with your own money.
I don't know, actually.
I remember mine was Sabbath Bloody Sabbath because I was into them for a very long time.
Yeah.
And even extending into their questionable back catalogue.
It's up there right now, look.
Because what, their first 6 albums are the best. The first 8 are with Ozzy Osbourne. And then Ozzy Osbourne gets fired, and the man, the myth, the legend that is Ronnie James Dio takes over as singer. He does 2 albums with them, and then he leaves. And then Ian Gillan from Deep Purple comes in, and he does an album, which is actually really underrated. I really like that album. And then he buggers off, and then... Ooh, who was next?
Was it that guy?
It was a man called... I know Tony Martin comes in, but I think there was somebody before Tony Martin.
Glenn Hughes?
No, he was after Tony Martin. I believe it was a man called Ray Gillan.
Ian Gillan.
I think it was Ozzy Osbourne, Dio, Ian Gillan, Ray Gillan, Tony Martin, Glenn Hughes.
Then Tony Martin again, wasn't it?
Yeah, and then Dio came back, and then Ozzy Osbourne came back. So I'm going to Google this now.
No,
I'll go on to the handy.
To love.
Is that the Glenn Hughes?
I like that one.
So that's actually when that was actually part of Black Sabbath. Black Sabbath had probably had the most members changes in the history of any band ever. Surely.
Probably.
Because at that point, that album, whatever it's called, I can't think for the life of me now, but the one that Glenn Hughes, who was the bassist from... He wasn't even the bassist from Deep Purple. He's one of those people that's just been in various bands.
He's just a random man.
He's just a bloke.
No one knows who he
was.
is.
He was a bassist in Deep Purple. He was a bassist in Whitesnake. He probably even had a stint in Rainbow because I think we've said in a previous episode, Black Sabbath,
They're all
Deep Purple,
incestuous with each other,
yeah,
aren't they?
Black Sabbath, Deep Purple, Whitesnake, and Rainbow are just the same band. They've all had like the same members.
They're like a sick sex
hillbilly.
cult.
So I'm going to go on to the reliable Wikipedia for a Black Sabbath member timeline and see if I'm correct. See if my knowledge has held up. See, it's counting like irrelevant people here. So like when Ozzy Osbourne was fired in about 1978, and he was replaced with a bloke called Dave Walker, who did nothing with the band. He didn't tour, he didn't record or anything. He was just sort of there. Then Ozzy Osbourne came back about 3 months later. So Dave Walker's a very irrelevant person, but he's listed as a member here. Then it came Ronnie James Dio was next. Then Ian Gillan. Then it says a guy called Ron Keel, but he was in for even less time than Dave Walker was. Oh, David Donato, that's a name I've not heard for a very long time, but he was singer again. He must have just done a few tours. Then a guy called Jeff Venholt I've never heard of.
Ooh.
Never heard of him.
Fancy
Then
name.
Glenn Hughes comes in, so I was a bit wrong. It's Glenn Hughes comes in first and does We're No Stranger to Love at the point when it became Black Sabbath featuring Tony Iommi.
Well, how's that making
Because
sense?
Tony Iommi was the only original member. It was just sort of, they had to highlight that he was in the band still. So they'd be like, do you remember Black Sabbath? Yeah, who's in them anymore? Tony Iommi is. Oh, right, okay. That's what they had to do there.
It's like having Rod Stewart
Featuring
Rod
Rod
Stewart.
Yeah, so then Glenn Hughes, then he does one album, buggers off. And then Ray Gillan comes in, like I said. Then it's Tony Martin. Then he leaves. Dio comes back. Then Dio leaves. Tony Martin comes back. And guess what? Tony Martin leaves and Dio comes back. Then Dio leaves.
Tony Martin.
Tony Martin comes back. Then Tony Martin leaves. And Ozzy Osbourne comes back. Bloody hell, that's so complicated. It's so complicated. I'm just looking at, look how many members there are. That's ridiculous.
Man, ACDC should another one like that, weren't they?
Yeah, but not as many.
I mean,
What on earth was that demonic noise you just made there?
I've got a frog in my throat. Because Bon Scott wasn't the original singer, was he? Chris Evans. Or someone Dave Evans, I think his name was. He's the original singer.
Chris Evans, yeah, the guy from Radio... guy from Radio 4.
It's something Evans. It's all Australian, don't they? Have the same last name.
Is it Dave Evans?
I think so.
Dave Evans was the singer, Mark Evans was the bassist.
Chris Evans is a Radio 1.
And Captain America.
Not Radio 1 DJ, but...
He used to be Radio 1 DJ, then he got booted to Radio 4, then he went off the rails and now he's on Virgin Radio.
We just aren't talking about the subject, are we?
No, I'm trying to think now. We're talking about Black Sabbath. So
How do we get to Chris Evans?
See, because we're talking about AC/DC. Well, see, I was trying to prove a point with listing the Black Sabbath members, but I've completely forgotten what the point was. I actually quite like this episode. It's quite shambolic.
We haven't been doing it for nearly a month.
Hey, we've not done an episode for 4 weeks. I'm very out of practice. I've not even set these mics are gathering dust. Like I just haven't. So now we're like, here we are. You wanted an episode 4, so here it is. And we're here talking about on TikTok, conspiracy theories.
Chris Evans. I've lost the plot, Aidan.
We haven't done this for a while. We're out of practice. We've actually completely forgotten what our arguments were going to be for this. Last week was like our mission statement is to be like, we are young people. We listen to things from the past. Here's how we can bring those things to other people of our generation. That's our mission statement. Episode 3, First Bands Part 1, achieved that so well. Episode 4, Part 2, on the other hand, is just us like, Black Sabbath are good, aren't they? Yeah.
No, Black Sabbath are really good.
That's all we've got to say. Because, I mean, I'm thinking, how can you get people into Black Sabbath? Well, everybody knows Black Sabbath already, don't they? You can't really get people into them. Everybody knows Paranoid, surely. Everybody knows Iron Man. Even if you sing the... Oh, I remember we used to sing as Iron Man before we actually got into Black Sabbath, when Iron Man was used as the theme tune for the film Iron Man. And we used to go around school going, if you want a piece, come and get a piece of Iron Man.
Oh, God, no.
Going around primary school singing that.
Really?
Yeah.
We used to do that.
Before we actually knew who Black Sabbath were, and we just knew Iron Man from the. I know. I feel so cringy right now.
What have you unlocked in my brain? Just opened the box at the shop.
Marching around Breakfast Club, going, "If you want a piece."
It's like Dr. Sleep when you lock up their memories and you just open the box. You've opened the box and now it's out. It's out now, isn't it? Thank you for that.
So maybe. To avoid young people marching around singing that, we should not actually touch Black Sabbath.
Come on.
I mean, the only relevant Black Sabbath is Ozzy Osbourne Black Sabbath, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, besides Dio's first album Black Sabbath is as good as some of the Ozzy stuff. Like, it stands shoulder to shoulder.
Black Sabbath, though,
stands shoulder to shoulder. Well, it's 3 of the 4, and it is Dio. If you're going to replace any singer from any band, you got to have Dio. One Direction, lose Zayn Malik, get Dio in. That's what makes you beautiful. This doesn't quite fit.
I think it would be quite cool, actually.
What other bands could replace Spice Girls reunion? Instead of Posh Spice, you've got Dio. If you want to be my lover. I've conjured up a very surreal image in my
you
head
have,
now.
and I'm not sure I want it in my head anymore.
It's quite handy having the CD rack in the studio, but it's not very handy when you can't think of anything to say about it. The Who. Oh, there's one we've not talked about. What can we say about The Who?
I got into The Who. Actually, it's one of the first albums I ever think I should know.
Did I get into The Who first? I feel like I probably got into The Who first.
No.
Or we got into them simultaneously. Because I know I was very big on The Who. Obviously, this is
I don't know.
channeling my inner Brit here. Because I remember...
I don't know.
I remember I was on a primary school trip,
I think I'd have
and you bought me The Who live at Leeds.
Yeah. But then I bought the...
Who's Last? Favourite Who song?
Barbara O'Reilly.
Barbara O'Reilly, yeah. Favourite Who song besides Barbara O'Reilly or My Generation?
I Can See for Miles.
I was about to say that one. I know you've deceived me, now here's a surprise. I know that you have, 'cause there's magic in your eyes. I can see for miles and miles and miles. See, it was his Ronnie James Dio as a member of The Who now. Miles and miles. You have to do the windmill arm as well on the guitar, don't you? See, bow, bow, bow. Though we're talking about questionable things people have done. Pete Townsend. You know what he did, don't you?
I saw that the other day on Twitter.
That book's never come out, has it? For the viewers. Don't know what happened to my voice there. Been watching too much Jeremy Clarkson. For the viewers.
Stay at home.
For the listeners, Pete Townsend, very famous guitarist of The Who. He's probably one of the greatest, well, not one of the greatest guitarists, but he's one of those legendary guitar players of all time. Early 2000s, late 1990s, he was arrested for having, let's say, indecent images of children on his laptop, which was supposed to be research for a book that he was doing. So he was let off. But that book has never come out.
Is he a paedophile?
So you're all debating Michael Jackson, but get on to Pete Townsend.
It could just be innocent, though, wouldn't it?
I know.
But even so, how'd you get that?
I know. So that's really, I find it really crazy. Although, we're trying to defend Michael Jackson in the last one. We're leaving it open to say, look, we don't know everything, but this is our opinion. Pete Townsend, I'm more like, although I'm a big fan of The Who, that doesn't quite add up for me.
It's doing research, but it's actually kind of going out your way and actually probably contacting a paedophile to get them images. That's just wrong, isn't it? And
research feels like such a crap excuse. So who knows? Who knows? See what I did there? It should be First Bands Part 1, paedophiles. First Bands Part 2, even more paedophiles.
Nah, probably bringing the paedophiles listening to it.
I get paedophile fan base. Message in from Gary Glitter. I really enjoyed you. Thanks, Gary.
Is he still locked up?
Yeah.
He's like.
I was trying to think who was the one who was let out, and the first thing he did was go straight to a playground. That was Rolf Harris, wasn't it? That's just the. Can you just think? When you think about that, he was let out from prison on bail or whatever it was. The first thing he did was went to a playground and was waving at children. Like, Rolf, you're not helping your cause here. As he probably goes back to prison with his wobbly boards and his whatever he used to do.
Yeah, I was talking about paedophiles.
Talking about paedophiles and Madeline McCann, a bit of a theme, isn't there? And TikTok, conspiracy theories, basically everything but First Bands. Right. Tell you what, quick fire. I've got an idea. I'm going to go through some quick fire. I'm going to mention a band. And, just spat into my mic there. I'm going to mention a band, and I'm going to say favourite song, favourite album, something you'd recommend, and any little fun facts that you have about them. So let's start from Led Zeppelin. What is your favourite? You're going to have to cut what will happen now is we'll go first bands, and we'll just go straight to this section. So,
yeah.
Led Zeppelin. What is your favourite Led Zeppelin song?
I like a lot, and it's hard to kind of pick which one, but I'd probably say Rock and Roll.
Isn't that supposed to be one of the hardest drum lines to do? Because the strength, you have to actually hit the drum. You say like the acid, I don't know what the science is behind it, but it's something like the acids in your arms and something. You physically can't do it. John Bonham is one of the only people who was able to sound like the Terminator theme, but
Rock and roll, and then actually rock and roll is the favourite.
rock and rolls used to be my favourite. See, I'd go Immigrant Song, but that's such a generic one to say, innit? Especially after Thor. Now everybody
Yeah.
knows that song.
But there's so many Led Zeppelin songs that are so iconic, so it is kind of hard to pick.
Yeah. I like No Quarter,
Uh,
which is the wow, 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 the really weird,
hippie one, yeah.
hippie, trippy one. There's also Jamaica, spelt Jamaica. What's the one on Physical Graffiti? That's really good. What's that one called?
Talk about love. Talk about love.
What did you just do there?
Talk about love. That's one of them ones. Trampled underfoot.
Trampled Underfoot, yeah, that's a good one.
Kashmir.
I like Kashmir, but I think it's very overrated. It just makes me think of MasterChef.
Dazed and Confused, a bit boring, but
Oh, Achilles' Last Stand. That's probably one of my favourite ones. That's one as well. That's like a 12-minute faster, faster, faster sort of one. In My Time of Dying, that's what I was thinking of Physical Graffiti. I like that one.
that's probably
That's the Oh My Jesus. Oh my Jesus.
That's probably my favourite Led Zeppelin album.
Physical Graffiti. I would concur with that. Favourite song to recommend to somebody? Say somebody talking about Led Zeppelin. I like them. Stairway to Heaven, Immigrant Song. Yeah, but do you know?
I'd say Dazed and No, I wouldn't.
I won't say Days of Confused.
No, I'd
that's
say
a bit
Good
too
Times,
weird.
Bad Times. That's kind of intro.
Yeah.
And also, I do like a sort of famous one, but Led Zeppelin song called Thank You.
I do not know that one.
Led Zeppelin 2. It's quite nice, that song.
Oh.
Favourite AC/DC song. Led Zeppelin song, sorry.
Well, AC/DC, let's go on to them now. Somebody comes to you. Hey, Stanley! You like AC/DC, don't you? What should I listen to? I know Back in Black and I know Highway to Hell.
Rock and Roll Damnation. All day long.
Oh, there we are. That's your favourite one, isn't it? You always bias for that one.
I think it's so kind of AC/DC. It's just them, isn't it?
Yeah.
Rock and roll.
I'd have to go for
maybe.
Bon Scott. If somebody ever came to me with any question about AC/DC, I'd just go, just
Bon
Bon Scott. Bon
Yeah.
Scott era, whatever. Bon Scott era. First album. Come on.
I was more of a Brian Johnson man. Then I went, nah.
Bon Scott's
Bon
better.
Scott,
Bon
no.
Scott is better. Let There Be Rock is a whopper of an album, that is. In the beginning.
First album's pretty good as well.
First album. What's that one called? High Voltage. That was dead good.
Voltage.
Rock and roll.
I
I
love that rock and roll. Do you know what I mean? That
Yeah.
rock and roll, like Led Zeppelin, AC/DC.
Yeah,
that's
I know what you
rock
mean,
and
proper,
roll.
like authentic 70s.
Eric Clapton and all that. That's
Yeah.
rock and roll, baby.
See, I just realised then we were just singing High Voltage Rock and Roll, but I was doing the riff to A Long Way to the Top.
Yeah.
Because you were just going High Voltage Rock and Roll, and I went down, down it, down, 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 it, down, down, it, down, it. Just Brian Johnson now, though, isn't it?
Yeah, still works, doesn't it?
True.
Usually-
Or Jack Black. Hometown Motown. That won't translate on podcast, but if you saw my mouth, then that was a Jack Black, as in School of Rock,
Mhm.
when they sing. Scooby Dooby Dooby,
Doobie-doobie-doobie.
Blumby Blumby Blay,
Blim 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 blay.
Ziggity 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 Zig,
Chick-chick-chick-chick.
Diggity Diggity Diggity.
Diggity-diggity.
Is my face okay? I think you
melted
melted it
it
off. Movie is over,
Movie is over,
but we're still on screen.
but we're still on screen.
Everybody's rocking.
Everybody's rocking.
And we came from horror screen.
And we came from
And
horror
we came from horror
screen.
screen.
That was so annoying.
If you haven't already tuned out from, I want to listen to music and they're talking about TikTok. Now they're talking about Madeline McCann. Oh, now they're doing awful impressions of Jack Black. Oh, I'm out.
I thought my impression of that girl was quite good, actually.
Who's next? If we talk about Black Sabbath. There we go. Next one. Favorite Black Sabbath song. Quick fire round, isn't it? Favourite Black Sabbath song?
Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath.
Really? Mine would be Children of the Grave.
Clap your hands.
Yeah, both there pretending to hold onto the microphone stand and just shaking her head like Ozzy Osbourne. Clap your hands! Or see if I can channel my Ozzy Osbourne voice. It's quite hard to do it on cue. Used to walk back from school pretending to do my Marilyn Manson voice and end up as Ozzy Osbourne. Revolution. I can't do it on cue.
It's hard, isn't it?
All the times I used to be able to do a really good Marilyn Manson voice, and I just can't do it. It ended up being try to do Marilyn Manson. I could never ever do the one I was trying to do. So I tried to do Marilyn Manson. I sound like David Bowie or something. So you'd just be there like, oh, I'm trying to do a Marilyn Manson song now. What was his latest stuff? He used to be there like, Fatal, faithful. See, that's Ozzy Osbourne. Fatal. Well, that's a bit more Marilyn Manson. Fatal. It's in the throat there. Whoa. Grandpa Simpson. That's probably the most irritating.
Clark, isn't it?
Probably the most irritating thing I've ever done on this podcast. What's that album you got there? Paranoid.
Paranoid, yeah.
Triple edition.
This is my one, wasn't it?
Yeah, you had Paranoid and I had Black Sabbath.
This is the better one anyway. So.
Oh, Paranoid is by far miles. There's not a single bad song on that album. Not one.
It's also got good album covers.
Yeah.
I like Ozzy Osbourne's hair as well.
See, you look at that photo. I mean, besides Bill Ward, who is just a mess now. I don't want to get sued for slander from him either, but he's a mess. But then all three of them, Geezer Butler, Ozzy Osbourne, and Tony Iommi, all still pretty much have that same hairstyle.
Yeah.
Tony Iommi, in fact, hasn't even aged. I mean, he looks visibly older now, but like he still looks the same.
I think Geezer Butler hasn't actually changed much.
He's just got fatter, hasn't he? He's always getting into fights all the time.
I like Geezer Butler.
Thunder fingers, that's what people call him, don't they? When he plays bass, his fingers move like unbelievably fast.
Look at them lot.
Do you remember those documentaries you used to watch? Heavy Metal Britannia?
Yeah.
Things like that. Do you remember that time? I remember there was one we watched, and they'd got all the isolated tracks from Paranoid Sessions. You could hear the guitar on its own and the vocals on its own and stuff, and they played Geezer Butler's on his own, and it was just completely mental. Like every single song was just, and they're going, you don't even hear that on the completed record, and it's a real shame because it's just this guy is just like he's my favourite bassist ever. I think he's the best bassist ever all time. I do.
He probably is.
When I saw Black Sabbath live in 2017, you just watched him. It's just this guy now in his 70s, and his fingers are just going mental. Like, look at him! Look at that!
Certainly hasn't got arthritis, has he?
No, definitely not. Because that hurt me doing that, and just wiggling my fingers in the air. Never mind playing bass for an hour and a half set.
Yeah, that's my favourite Black Sabbath song. Is Sabbath Bloody Sabbath.
Sabbath Bloody Sabbath is quite an interesting album actually, because it was what was the album for that? Volume 4, which is a good album actually.
We don't have that one, do we?
We don't. It's strange. We never have that one, but I actually really like it now. Because my second favourite Black Sabbath song is Under the Sun / Every Day Comes and Goes, which is off Volume 4. They did that one. They did that one live, and I was just like, yeah. But yeah, Sabbath Bloody Sabbath. I believe it's one of those. Do you know when bands have this? Or they can't quite work together anymore. They all get in each other's faces because record label are demanding an album and they can't think of one, or that sort of stuff that goes off. So Black Sabbath hired a castle, and they went and stayed in this castle. So they're like, right, we need an album. We need to think of an album. And Sabbath Bloody Sabbath was written and recorded in this castle, wherever it was. I think that's so metal. Go to a castle and record an album. And Sabbath Bloody Sabbath is a bloody good album. Sabracadabra is a brilliant song.
Actually, it's quite annoying me going up and getting the albums every time, but I need to have a look at the album. It's quite a good album cover.
Yeah, just get them all down while you're up there. Obviously, don't get the awful Born Again one. Just get all the Aussie ones. See, but then I've also spotted 13, which is the Black Sabbath's last album from 2013. Now Ozzy Osbourne came back and recorded a new album with Geezer Butler and Tony Iommi. Though the original drummer didn't return, so they used Brad Wilk from Rage Against the Machine. And 13 is another bloody good album, considering they hadn't recorded together for nearly 40 years. And they still sounded... Because remember we played it and our dad was like, well, it just sounds like any old Black Sabbath. He was like, that's a good thing. Yeah. This band haven't played together for 40 years, and they've managed to make an album that sounds exactly like the 70s stuff. That's an achievement.
Yeah, they all are in the castle.
Oh, is that the photo where Tony Iommi has no moustache? It really freaks me out because I'm so used to him seeing. Oh.
Yeah,
yeah. Do that noise into the mic. Let's just. Oh, you don't get that satisfaction on Spotify, do you? Maybe when you play an album on Spotify, it should start with that sound
It should.
of an album, of it you taking a CD out of its case.
I love the albums. It's like the original kind of posters.
Yeah, and I like all the, oh, look at the photo I am without a moustache. It just freaks me out. Don't like it.
Makes you want to delete everything or.
It makes you want to go, yeah.
And just grow your hair out long and live in a field. With me anyway. You're there.
Somebody, all your friends will be like, oh God, have you heard from Stanley? No, not for 25 years. Then he found you in a field and you're just there like listening to Black Sabbath and wearing sandals and cardigans and you basically just look like the Big Lebowski. And
this is my favourite one.
Sabotage is a bloody good album.
My favourite album. It's actually my album as well. I bought this one, didn't I?
Yeah, so is this your favourite Black Sabbath albums? Your favourite Black Sabbath song is Sabbath Bloody Sabbath. Favourite Black Sabbath album? Sabotage. Sabotage is a really underrated one. What year is that? 75?
I'd say so, maybe. 7. Yeah, definitely.
It will say so on the back.
78, wasn't it? 75.
75, yeah. And that is one, I find that so underrated.
Hole in the Sky, yeah.
There's not, I don't think any song from Greatest Hits is on the album, is there? Yet, Hole in the Sky and Symptom of the Universe are proper good songs. Symptom of the Universe is one of Black Sabbath's greatest riffs.
I think the album cover is even greater, really, isn't it?
There, with them stood with the backs to the mirror, but the mirror is them reflected forwards, if that makes any sense.
Trippy, man.
It's a really good one, that is. If you know Black Sabbath as like, oh, they're those guys who did Paranoid, and Sabotage is one of those ones, it's like... The thing is, though, I don't think you can listen to it as a normie. Do you know what I mean? I just feel like you have to have a ground knowledge of Black Sabbath first to appreciate it.
Yeah. Is it different? That's for certain.
Like the final track when it's all like choir singing and then a riff over it. And
different to what they normally are.
My favourite Black Sabbath album, see, it's got to be Paranoid, really, hasn't it? Because every single song is a classic.
Apart from Paranoid. Apart
from Paranoid.
I mean, like, apart from the album, which one's your favourite?
But yeah, apart from Paranoid. Besides Paranoid or Black Sabbath, because they're the generic two answers. I want to say 13, but if I'm going for the proper retro Aussie ones, besides Paranoid or Black Sabbath. Sabotage, I'm going to say it's Sabotage. It's Sabotage.
So we both got the same
favourite. Yeah. Favourite Black Sabbath lineup? Well, is there even any point in saying that? It's obviously Ozzy, Bill, Tony, and Geezer.
I was thinking Glenn Hughes, but...
Yeah, should we just pick what, like Cozy Powell, Glenn Hughes, Tony Martin, and Jeff Nichols? They're all people that have been in Black Sabbath, but I don't know if any of those have been in Black Sabbath at the same time as each other.
No, you could play your own game, couldn't you?
Yeah, piece together your favourite lineup.
Fancy Black Sabbath team.
See, something like that. I know Cozy Powell, for example, has been in Black Sabbath and Rainbow, and I'm pretty sure he had a stint in Deep Purple as well, in the incestuous lineup crossover that those four bands have. So we have talked about first bands a bit. This will be a shorter episode. I'll edit this down. But just so we have talked about latter years, metal years, we have talked about that. We have talked about it, just not as
very loosely in a very messy way.
Yeah. In between TikTok and Madeleine McCann. So I think really what I'm going to do, we're going to wrap this up. When we come back for episode 5, it'll be a bit more coherent. We'll be back into practice. Not sure what we can talk about. It'll be a film-themed episode. Not decided on what it's going to be yet. And I think what will happen is we might have to do a future episode called Metal or something where we go into a bit more detail because, well, you might have enjoyed this discussion or you might be thinking these guys have just wasted however many minutes of my life.
And that sounds like how I'm feeling as well.
Yeah, so thank you for listening.
Apologies.
If you are. Sorry for listening. Sorry for putting you through this. I'm not actually sure what happened with this episode. It will still be called First Bands Part 2. Bloody hell, it's going to be tough writing the description. In this episode, Aidan Gula and Stanley Gula try to talk about first bands, but instead get distracted by TikTok, conspiracy theories, Madeleine McCann, and whether or not Pete Townsend is a paedophile. To be fair, though, we have ticked the boxes. We have talked about our bands. We have talked about our favourite songs and how we got into them. But there's just only so many times you can say, I found a CD, and I listened to it, and I liked it. So, First Band's Part 1 is clearly superior. First Band's Part 2 shows that you should never do a sequel because they're never as good, besides Terminator 2. Thank you for listening. We've either wasted your time, this is maybe an hour of your life you're never getting back, if I can even make an hour out of this. But then again, every hour of your life is an hour you're never getting back, so pointless thing to say. I've been Aidan Gula.
I have been Stanley Gula.
This was supposed to be Beyond the Years. It was more a depressed lockdown
Grandma
catch up. A catch up because
we don't even speak to each
no,
other.
we could spend days of just hi. What are you doing watching the Grand Tour? What are you doing watching The Simpsons? Alright. Please join us next week, please.
We'll make it up to you guys.
Please, we will.
Don't know actually.
No, this is just a false start. You know, you turn your car on and it stalls. I don't have a car. Bye! I'm gonna cancel the recording. Right.
See ya. Bye. Kiss.
Do you know what I look like?
A dad?
White t-shirt and blue jeans. I look like I'm uptown girl. That's what I look like. Like a bloody mechanic in a Billy Joel video.
Mm-hmm.
What the hell was that noise? It sounded like a pantomime dame.